What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. Shai's floor game. This has been one of the more interesting subplots of the series, in my opinion. I think SGA's two highest scoring games in this series were his two worst games outside of Game 3. Game 1, he goes for 38. I didn't think he was particularly good compared to some of his other games in this postseason. Game 4, he has 35. Those are his two highest scoring games in this series. And I didn't think he was particularly good compared to some of his other games. Like, it reminds me of some of the other great stars that have come through the NBA. And I mean this as a compliment. I am comparing Shai to some all-time greats here. But like when Jokic would have a bad game, when LeBron would have a bad game, and again, it's all relative. When I say bad games for these guys, a bad game for prime LeBron, a bad game for prime Jokic. When I talk about a bad game for prime SGA, it is not the same as a bad game for Tyrese Halliburton from last night or some of these other guys that we talk about. It's all relative, for the record. But this is the conversation that Shai has put himself in. He has put himself in as an MVP, a leader of a 68-win team, a soon-to-be finals MVP. He is now entering into conversations. He's being evaluated at a different standard. And like Jokic and LeBron would have these games where they'd go for like 24, 13, and 11. And you could look at the box score and you could be like, man, 24, 13, and 11 and 63% true shooting. Like, that's an incredible game. But if you watch those games, sometimes you'd feel like, man, like, they're just not asserting themselves as much as they need to. They're not bringing that like high-level scoring in position that they're capable of bringing. LeBron had to ultimately, in big spots, win by scoring the basketball. Game 6 against Boston, down 3-2, comes in, had to score 45. That Game 7 against the Spurs, the need to hit jump shots that San Antonio was conceding to him. Obviously, making the right play has always been a huge part of Jokic and LeBron's games, but they have to bring the balance. And when they're at their best, when they're at the high end of their spectrum, it's always the combination of overwhelming scoring force and that high-level playmaking that they bring. Now, Shai's a very different archetype of player, right? He's closer to the MJ and Kobe group. But like MJ and Kobe would have some of these games where they'd have, now it looks different, right? For LeBron and Jokic, it would be these like triple-double efficient games where they didn't bring the requisite scoring pop. For guys like MJ, Kobe, in this case Shai, it's the games where they have 30-something, 35, 38, 37 points, but they do a poor job managing the flow of the game. And so they'll have these high scoring totals, but it manifests as poor team offense, right? Similar with LeBron and Jokic, high assist totals, but it manifests as poor team offense. There is a balance that scorers need to have where they bring the requisite playmaking and floor game and managing the flow of the game that is required for them to be effective as scorers. Just like for the Jokic LeBron archetype, there's got to be a certain amount of scoring in position and aggression that balances out their elite floor game and flow game, which is what they do really, really well. The NBA Finals are here. This is your last chance to bet on the NBA until next season. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is pulling out all the stops to make this a finals to remember. One team will be crowned champ, and the other will be lost to history. Who you got winning it all? Put your hoops expertise to the test. All season long, DraftKings has been the go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Who's going to carry their team to the chip? Try placing a bet on your personal MVP to drop 30, 40, or maybe even over 50. Ready to place your own bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, lock in your bets, and finish the season as a winner. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Don't miss your last chance to bet on the NBA this season. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. That's code HOOPS for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. To SGA's credit, he very clearly identified his poor process in each of those two games because in each case he responded immediately out the gates with brilliant performances, much better floor game, much better managing of the flow of the offense. I think his game 2 and game 5 performances were his best 2 games of the series by far. Once again, in both games, just a super deliberate effort to take the available kickout reads early in possessions. He had 18 assists in those 2 games. In the other 3 games of the finals combined, he had 7 assists. Huge difference in process. The Thunder generated more threes in the first half last night than they generated the entirety of game 4. They generated 18 unguarded catch and shoot jump shots, according to Synergy. They generated just 6 in game 4. That's tripling the output of open catch and shoot jump shots. Overall, as a team, the Thunder scored 42 points on catch and shoot jump shots after scoring just 9 points on catch and shoot jump shots in game 4. And most importantly, according to Cleaning the Glass, in game 2 and in game 5, those were the only 2 games in this series where the Thunder managed an offensive rating over 115. They had a 127 offensive rating in game 2, a 120 offensive rating in game 5. Every single other game of the series, they've been below a 115 offensive rating. The team's offense, the Thunder offense, flows based on how Shai approaches the game. And the idea that it needs to affect his scoring is foolish. He managed 65 points in those 2 games, 34 in game 2 and 31 last night. He ends up inevitably finding opportunities to score as the defense loosens up from him setting the tone by taking those easy reads. And the scary part is, I really do think that Shai has learned some valuable lessons on this front in this postseason run. I talk about this all the time. Young basketball players tend to struggle to identify what's not working and cut it out, and identify what's working and repeat it. A lot of times they'll bounce back and forth between the two because they struggle to tie process to results. Over time, with this experience, Shai is going to learn. He's going to look back and go like, I remember what happened in game 1 when I came out hunting my own shot. And then suddenly none of my teammates were in rhythm. And at the end of the game, when I did start making those kickouts, guys couldn't knock down shots. I remember game 4 when I generally just did a horrible job of managing the flow of the game. And it took me having to make some crazy shots at the end to bail my team out of a game we probably should have won by 15, 20 points. He'll remember game 2 and him coming out immediately hunting his teammates. His same thing in game 5 and how it resulted in this free-flowing offense where more people are involved and his co-stars playing better and more guys are getting catch-and-shoot looks and guys are knocking down shots and the team lights up the scoreboard. He'll remember those things. He'll replicate those things, and it'll just make this Thunder team that much harder to beat in the coming years. Shai also was amazing on defense in this game. He had 4 blocks, had this insane help side rotation on Obi Toppin in the late second half where he blocked him at the rim, had a couple of nice blocks in transition, including one on a little Euro step from Tony Bradley. Just really, really impressive game from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 2 of the better games I've seen him play in his career in game 2 and game 5 of this playoff run. Got lost in the flow because of J-Dub's, massive game. And J-Dub was incredible. He deserves to be recognized as the hero, but I thought Shai really set the tone with his overall approach to start last night's game.